Welcome to the Travel Business Unpacked, where passion meets possibility. Here's your host, Meredith Calloway.
Hello there, and welcome to the Travel Business Unpacked podcast. I am Meredith Calloway, your host, and I am so excited to welcome you to another episode. Today's episode, we have the beautiful, the lovely Eysa Portugues of the Splendid Life Travel Designs. And she is another travel MBA alum. She's originally from Puerto Rico, and so her first language is Spanish. And I wish I
Yes.
could mimic the accent the way she does so beautifully. But she is now based in the Dallas, Texas area. And I'm just very excited to share with you all Eysa's entrepreneurial journey. So welcome to the show, Eysa. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Meredith. It's a pleasure to be here with you. And thank you so much for the invitation. I'm happy to be here.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So tell us what year you were in the Travel MBA program.
So I joined the Travel MBA program in November 2020. So
November. Oh, you were another pandemic cohort. I'm
exactly.
telling you, the pandemic cohorts, they are all, performing like cannons right now. It's unbelievable. So you all had your little hibernating time.
I think the pandemic maybe served as a slingshot, right? It was the
Yes.
time there to learn, and then all of a sudden, boom.
Yes. It's really cool. So you were blessed to be in your program with some really cool people
Yeah.
and all realizing really enviable lives. So tell us a little bit about your life before you began the travel entrepreneurial journey.
Wow. So yes, it's a very it was a path that wasn't on my mind. It was not something that I was planning at the time. A little bit of unexpected circumstances led me to follow an entrepreneurial path. For many years, I was in the corporate world, different industries from telecommunications to banking, and then at the end, more luxury goods, high jewelry, watches, retail, but from the e-commerce side. Building teams, supporting teams, growing teams. And so that's what actually brought me from Puerto Rico to Texas about 20 years ago. It was a job opportunity that, it was just hard to say no to. And so I packed my little family, my husband, who's, always been very supportive of all of my dreams. And so we packed him and my son, Jonathan, at the time was 2. And then we came to Texas. And then, the career took its course. But, at the beginning of 2020, I found myself without a job. Went through an unexpected layoff, not necessarily linked to COVID because COVID was not yet here, but it was really terrible timing because here I am at the beginning of 2020. Yes, I have a severance package, but already the job market is not turning the way that I was expecting it to. Through my applying to jobs, through speaking to people in my network, it was already feeling like it was gonna take some time. I think that at some point, a few months if into my job search and feeling a little nervous, like, oh my God, I really need to find something really soon. At the time, I had essentially, I carried most of my family's financial load myself. So I had a sense of urgency in finding the next thing.
And that causes so much fear, especially if you were carrying so much of the financial load. Like I can't even
Yeah.
imagine how much anxiety that must have caused. like the
Yeah.
sleepless night.
I have to say, self-confidence is not something I lack. So, I just knew, okay, I just need to stay on plan. I need to continue looking for opportunities. I need to continue making calls. And I had faith that ultimately,
Yeah.
so it's faith, it's,
Yeah.
it was, a little bit of both.
Resilience is what that is.
Yes.
It's called
What's that
resilience. It's not letting what
word? Grit.
is freak you out.
That other word, grit, right? And but at some point, I started getting nervous. And to your point,
Yeah.
yes, a little bit of, waking up in the middle of the night and all of a sudden, okay, what is going to be plan B or plan C? And so at
Yeah.
that point, I said, okay, I've always kind of been intrigued about starting my own business. So let me kind of, while I'm pursuing, the next career opportunity, uh, let me let me start looking at what
Yeah.
plan would look like. And so
Yeah.
okay, so maybe I start a business, but what does that look like? And what would I do? And so it took me probably a week or so to put my thoughts together. And I remember thinking, whatever I'm going to do, I absolutely need to love and be passionate about. I'm not at an age where I'm going to dabble in something that, is not something that's inspiring to me. So I asked myself a question. I said, okay, so if you could pick anything that would make you the happiest, what would it be? And I was always passionate about travel. So I said, well, if I could travel for the rest of my life, that would be awesome. And so I said, but is there a travel industry? I did not even know, Meredith, if there was a travel industry to look at. So I figured the travel agency had died with the internet. So I knew nothing about the travel industry.
Yeah.
And so I decided, I'm like, okay, let me look. And so I started doing research. I found Virtuoso. And through Virtuoso is when I realized, okay, there is real potential here. There's
Yeah.
promise here that, after all this, blows over, by then we were kind of approaching the shutdown. I was like, maybe there's something here. And so I started building a relationship with someone at Virtuoso. I just started making calls and I told them my situation. And at the time, no, nobody was hiring. Nobody was essentially bringing in anyone
Yeah.
in any sort of way. We know, I know now that, colleagues were really trying to deal with the fallout
Yeah.
that COVID caused. And so I said, okay, let me take a step back. I continued my job search. I did have some promising interviews, but I ended up getting to the final stages and not being selected. I worked for the census that summer, which is kind of funny. I worked for
It
the
is.
and at some point, I reached out again to my contact at Virtuoso and I said, look, I'm really now in a situation where I absolutely need to decide my next step. Can you recommend a host agency that is committed to train, mentor, guide people to success? Because I need a fast track option. Again, I'm not going to. I need a fast
You just
track.
described the travel MBA program at Gifted Travel Network.
At that point, I was really concerned. Yes, I was losing some sleep at night. And so, the person guided me and said, let me give you these 2 or 3 different host agencies for you to consider. GTN was one of them. And so ultimately, after I spoke to people at all 3, I think actually GTN was the third one I spoke to. And I immediately knew you are my people.
Yeah.
Sign me
Yeah.
up.
That's always a good feeling.
Yeah, I said, sign me up. When's the next travel MBA? And so I started that November. It was at Sandy. I think I spoke to Sandy. And
Okay.
so but I wasn't wasting time. I said, look, this is what I need. I know I need a mentor. I know I need the right partnerships. I like virtuoso. I like what they're doing, and I came from the luxury goods space. So
Right.
I think this is where I need to be, but I need someone who is committed to my success just as I am.
Yep.
And Travel MBA, was magic. It was magic.
Oh, I love it. I love it, love it, love it. There's so many great lessons in what you said, including you thought the travel agent had died. That's a very common misconception. And yeah, we at Gifted Travel Network are really trying to rewrite that story and raise the perception of the travel advisor, because the travel agent as we knew it back in the 90s did die. But something new evolved,
Right.
a reinvented version. And I just am super excited about the possibilities for people who want to test that out. But another one of another great lesson, and you clearly already have developed that faith muscle, that
Mhm.
resilience muscle of not letting um, what is really hijack your emotional state. When life throws you a curveball, it's actually a gift. And another way to say it, that we've all heard the saying, nothing happens to you, everything happens for you, and it serves you. Um, and then there's my favorite one, which also applies to the exact same situation. Like you lost your job just before COVID, and then you had this period of time where you were, going on multiple interviews for certain jobs, and then you don't get it. Gosh, that must have felt like, oh my gosh, are you kidding me? Like,
Yeah, it was.
universe, what are you trying to tell me? But the reframe that I love, that I mean, I still have to use it myself almost on a daily basis, is everything is always working out for you, even when it looks like it's not.
Mm.
And that was absolutely the case for you, because look at you now. You are now on a completely different path, a new journey, and it's leading to a very different life destination than had you gotten a job and
And
continued in your
more,
career.
mhm, more fulfilling because it was already a passion to see the world, to explore, to learn about other cultures. I mean, I don't remember a memory where I didn't, even as a young girl, aspired to see the world. So at some point in that process where I was going through long interview processes, getting to this final panel, and then, someone else
Yeah,
picked, at some point, I think I said, okay, maybe this is a sign that my plan B needs to be now my
yeah,
A.
yeah,
Actually told myself that I'm like, okay, maybe I can continue searching, but let me focus on my plan B because I see a path. And by then,
yeah,
I had done my research, learned about Virtuoso, Gifted, and I'm like, okay, there's definitely a path. Maybe the timing is a little, unusual because
weird,
of what's
yeah,
in the world, but I'm like, but I see a path, and so let me go down there. Now, I did have to find a part-time job. I still had to find a part-time job,
yeah,
to get things done, right? And take care of the household.
yeah,
And so I did hold on to a part-time job for, was it about 2.5 years? So I was
yeah,
doing that while I was slowly building,
building the business.
customer base, my sales. So the financial constraint was there, but I just, again, as an optimist, for me, every day is, what's the saying? Glass half full all the time.
Yeah,
I just said, okay, let me set aside a strategic amount of dollars for my branding, for my website, take advantage of every free tool out there that I could find. And that's how I started. So that's how, it had to be for a while. And I just had to be patient with, the
yeah.
situation. I accept.
And that is the sign of really solid entrepreneurial acumen. And I mean, that there's so many things that like are just lighting up for me in my head right now about how you already had so much of the success mindset that is almost critical and is can be not can be absolutely is a superpower when it comes to taking the entrepreneurial journey is a mindset, and success mindset, resilient mindset, miracle mindset, they all mean the same thing. It's the ability to not let what is dictate your emotional state.
You
And
you won't remember this, Meredith, but you actually told me this, saying these same words during Travel MBA. I still remember
yeah,
our nail my niche session
yes,
where you helped us through the essentially deciding who my
mastering your message,
what I
right?
focus on, and you helped me actually complete my name of the company. You actually helped me with
Love
that.
it.
I remember you saying, mindset is a superpower. And so that's also one of the things that I think through GTN, it's been helpful for me to have, you as a mentor and others as mentors. We have
Mhm.
mentors in our community to go from the mindset of an employee to the
Oh
mindset
yeah,
of now someone who is building something from
for
scratch,
the
who needs to adapt, who needs to be resilient. And so all those, all that advice from you early on really helped me to feel like I could.
I love
Feel like
it.
I
I
could.
absolutely, yeah, I mean, it's so powerful. And when you underestimate the importance of either mindset or support, you ultimately achieve average results. And we all know that when you become a business owner, specifically a small business owner, the odds are stacked against you, absolutely stacked against you. And if you achieve average results in travel, you're not going to be able to support your family. And you didn't have that option. And sometimes it's actually, in a weird way, a benefit when you have to support your family because you're hungry. And when you're hungry, you're willing to do whatever it takes. And what the other thing that I'm not sure you necessarily demonstrated in just you were talking about that journey of just finding the travel MBA program and finding that new chapter for yourself is you definitely brought that positive mindset, right? Or a success mindset. You didn't let what is hijack you, and you kept the faith. You stayed focused. You believed, even though it was a pandemic and no one was traveling, you were still building a business to sell travel in the future. But a lot of people who are maybe naysayers of the whole positive mindset thing think that when we preach positive mindset, we're saying all you have to do is just believe and it'll show up and you never really have to, take any action. But what I love about what you said is there's an art to it. It's not a science, it's an art. And you brought your practical action taking to it as well. You took on a part-time job. That's the practical. You maintained this positive mindset, but you were also practical about it. And
Right.
that is really that is why I think one of the reasons why you were successful is because you know how to do both. It's not just when, you don't just lean into mindset and then drop everything and think I don't have to do anything else. I'll just sit here and think positive
You wish,
thoughts.
you wish you could. Let's just go for this. But yeah.
It's not
You
sticking your head in the sand.
mhm.
It's letting yourself get connected to the divine within you and connected to that higher power where you actually then have access to your greatest superpower, I think, is your intuition. And it was probably your intuition that said, Eysa, get a part-time job.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it was, of course, it was such a interesting time because, so many things were happening. My son was now a junior. We were now looking at college. And
Yeah,
you're thinking, okay, and I only have one, so I need to help him, find his way. And so, yeah, I mean, all those things came to mind. You know, initially, I'll admit, initially I thought, okay, this is going to be easy and quick. I'll be able to go from A to
yeah,
B. I have goals. But then along the way, I said, okay, it'll take a bit of time. So let
yeah,
me make sure that my family's taken care of. Let me take this on. And yeah, it wasn't ideal to have to do everything around a part-time job. But, to your point, long hours, but it's long hours for me, my future, my family's future, maybe a legacy, something I leave to my son. And and it's something that I love which is travel. So
yeah.
I did have moments where I'm like, oh my God, I need to be patient. If I'm
Yes,
doing good and I want it now.
so
So
important.
many times I had to, do some self-talk and say, you're doing everything you can do with the resources
Yeah,
been given to you. It's just you need to go a little bit slower. It's okay, you'll get there. So that
just
was
be be
a lot of
be happy with where you are right now. Like make peace with where you are and know that you're on a journey where, and I've been saying this now for several months, ever since the hosted advisor report came out from Host Agency Reviews, where the average commissions earned in 2023, they reported was in the range of 40 something thousand dollars. And the average commissions earned for our top producers club in the exact same year in 2023 was $237,000, which is 5.1 times the average.
Mhm.
And so that's what we are architecting or guiding travel MBA students on, and anybody in our network. We have the Travel Business University program that's not just for travel MBA students, it's for everybody in the network. Is we're trying to guide them on this path of where the final destination is 5 to 10 times the industry average. And if that's what you're looking for, that's what we do here. If that's not what you're looking for, there's nothing wrong with that. Um, and there might be another match for that, but
Right.
we are here to help people who want to achieve 5 to 10 times the average. And when you're supporting your family, you don't have a choice. But you know,
Exactly.
um, you
Exactly.
said something else that I wanted to anchor in on. So your son is was a junior at the time in high school. Now is he a senior in college?
He's a junior. Yes, he's
He's a
actually
junior. Okay.
he's a junior in college, correct.
He's a junior in college, and so um yeah, those years go by so fast, right? And it's wow. And he's a tennis player, is that right?
Yes, he plays tennis. He played tennis in high school, and then got a chance to play tennis in college. He actually just transferred to a different school and is also in the team. So yes, it's been
Yeah,
it's it's been fun helping him kind of find his way, and it's been fun for him to see my path. He took
yeah.
interest in understanding, what I was getting myself into, how I was doing that. Mama, how are the sales going?
Oh,
And
I love this.
I show him my numbers. He's Mama, like and so he went with me back in 2024 when I made the top accelerator trip. I
Oh,
took
that's right. Yep. He traveled with you. Yep.
Yeah, he got to be, he also got to meet, wonderful people in our community who are as passionate as I am.
Yeah.
So it was important for me that he see, these are the people that I look up to, that I admire, that help me, because there's so much collaboration and so much generosity amongst, Gift to Travel Network members. And so I think he felt proud, but he also felt like, happy that I was surrounded by such amazing people. He did tell
Yeah.
me afterwards. Mhm.
Well, there's hope for you because on a different episode, I interviewed Lisa Marie Wertanzel of Sterling Journeys,
Uh-huh.
and she started Sterling Journeys when her daughter Sterling was 12 years old. She was hoping, ultimately, wishful thinking,
Mhm.
that Sterling would want to join her in the business, and now Sterling did join her in the business. So there's hope for you.
It's amazing. It's amazing what they've accomplished. I mean, I heard the podcast, and
Yeah,
it just made me so happy. Yeah,
yeah,
son, he has a path, he has some goals, and of course, we're helping him to,
yeah,
reach his goals professionally, what he's decided he wants to do. But I always tell him, hey, you could be, my partner. You could,
yeah. Someday.
who knows? Who knows what the
Yeah,
future will bring? But he
yeah,
certainly always loved to travel too. Wherever I went, at every age, wherever I went, he was with us. So
yeah,
wherever he traveled, he's been. And so he loves traveling as well. And so who knows? Maybe.
yeah. Yep. I love it. So tell us a little bit about, your growth trajectory and maybe some insight on how you did grow the business. Do you attribute it to anything specific? A lot of things. How did you grow the business?
Great question. So due to the financial constraints, I decided that, okay, to build a customer base, I first started, with the people I know, right? I let
Yeah.
every family, friends, every,
Yep.
my Facebook, through my LinkedIn network, I am
Yep.
my venture. And so initially, it was really mostly people who knew me, people who knew people who knew me, who were reaching out. I really did not have a budget to market anywhere, no magazines, no Facebook ads. Really, it was, posting through my social media. And then one key thing that I did do research on chambers of commerce in my area,
Okay.
and I joined my chamber of commerce. But my chamber of commerce is a little different because it's not only one city or one town. It's 7 municipalities in a certain geographic area.
Wow.
Some of which, are very high net worth areas. So
Yes.
once I understood the importance, or the value of Chamber of Commerce, I joined my Chamber of Commerce, became very active. I still had more time at the time to attend more events and to
Mhm.
meet people. Certainly, I know that, I got name recognition partially from the relationships that I built with other entrepreneurs like me. And I also learned a lot of, tips, like,
Yeah.
things I didn't know. For example, uh, hey, join all the mom groups in the area. And I'm like, what are you
Right.
talking about, the mom groups? I was corporate world. I was busy. I was either working or at home with the family. I didn't have a lot of time to socialize, hang out, with the
Yeah.
ladies, Banco. So for me, I'm like, what mom groups? Oh yeah, so I started joining all these mom groups and just listening, understanding the kind of conversations that were happening, and if anybody needed any help or information about travel, I would chime in, offer them to call me so we would have a conversation. And so I think it's hard to link every sale
Yeah.
to its possible origin.
It's not linear. It's not
It's not
linear.
linear, but I have no doubt that that's definitely had an impact on, again, brand recognition,
Yeah.
from whatever I post, whatever I say
Mm,
online. And so I see that more as a long game. It's more like
yeah.
putting your little penny in your little piggy bank. And so long term, I think I'm going to see more return from that effort.
I
Um,
totally agree.
but definitely networking is
I
key.
love I love that you're attributing a massive component of your client attraction strategy to a tried and true old school networking strategy. It's sometimes it's so simple, it
Yeah,
and I think people can get so formulaically oriented. They want the formula. How do I attract high net worth clients? I don't live in a high net worth area, or I am not a high net worth person. So how am I going to attract clients that are, in a financial situation way beyond what I ever thought I could imagine for myself? They're going to spend what on a trip what I my salary for a year.
exactly.
That's
Exactly. I've already had clients or have been blessed to have clients like that. Now,
yeah,
when I started, of course, that felt, like it was far, far away.
beyond reach.
Yes. However, so a few things about networking. Yes, there's the chamber and there's BNIs, all these networking opportunities. It's important to make sure that you select carefully, and then because you still have, a part-time job and a business to run, probably like
Yeah,
with my situation. So really pick them strategically. But also, you know, I call it the 2 or 3 degree separation from someone I met randomly who is now
yeah,
a big supporter and has referred me multiple people. So
yes,
I also have a few different key people that I met along the way who became my clients, who were happy with my services, and then started sharing with everyone.
yeah,
And then I've gathered so that there's the multiplying effect. But
yeah.
two of those people I met randomly, one being a mom, a fellow tennis mom that I met sitting on a hot bleacher in a high match,
Yes,
like literally just before I started my business. We stayed in touch via Facebook, and
I
she
love it.
been my client and has just, shared my business with so many people. So I also say, wherever you go, have a goal of talking to one new person every day, wherever it is, at the bank, at the coffee shop. How are you? I'm Eysa. What do you do? Oh, hey, this is what I do. I mean, you don't have to be and I am an extrovert. Yes, it's easy for me to do that, but it's also a goal, a realistic goal that, can you never know who you're going to encounter
Never know.
and how that, down the road may lead to additional business. The initial encounter may not have been with the idea of this person being my client, but ultimately it worked out that way. So it's, just make a connection with someone
Yeah.
and conversation and see where that takes you. It's
You have such a you have such a great mindset for being an entrepreneur. And I think one of the critical mindsets is that just trust and have faith. But another one that you're really nailing right now is the art of relationships, and just being curious with people and not jumping to assumptions and not being transactional when you meet them.
right.
It's all about a connection. It's not about getting another client. It's about
Mhm.
making a connection with someone and maybe I can help you. And even if I can't, I still want to get to know you. I want to understand you. And I love that about your journey. So one thing that you said that I think is a common thread for most of the people who have crossed that $1 million in sales, annual sales threshold, which you've done, yay, is referrals. But the referrals don't come if you don't do a good job.
Right.
So I want to know, how did you develop the confidence and even your own process for delivering on service consistently in a way that people are now referring you?
That's a really great question, Meredith. And I feel like my flow, my workflow is still under construction, to be honest.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't think I have the silver bullet in my hand yet, because of my original, my financial constraints to starting the business. I had to decide not to acquire certain tools at a
Yeah.
specific time, or engage in certain activities, or participate in this or that. So, and that meant also that my flow was a little bit looser, right? In terms of systems and integrations, it's a little bit looser, a little bit more organic. I need to work on fine tuning that for the next level. But
Yeah.
I would say that I enjoy learning about people, and I make it very clear to every client that I want to understand, as much as they want to share about them with me. Um, and especially with families, which my favorite kind of travel is multi-generational families, grandparents, parents, kids. I always, for example, like to know, what are the kids into? What are their hobbies? What are their passions? Or even moms and dads, do you have hobbies? Do you do something outside of, your career
Yeah.
or work? I want to learn those things, because that is a way for me to, at every step, trying to personalize that experience as much as possible. I think that would be one thing. I would say that, um, essentially, when you do that, then you're establishing, trust, establishing familiarity. And so I think that along the way, I'm trying to make the point subtly. It's like, I can be your travel advisor for life. I know you,
Right.
understand,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
know exactly what your pet peeves are. I know one of my best clients. I always know what kind of room he wants. He wants the shower. He doesn't want the tub. He wants,
Yeah.
a large living area. I mean,
Yeah.
little things that you learn along the way, but you have to ask in a way where, they'll feel comfortable sharing that. But I explained the why. I'm like, the reason why I'm asking these questions is because I want to make sure that you get everything that you dream of out of
Yes.
vacation, not just a random trip, but just something that you're passionate about. I encourage them to pursue their hobbies or their passions while they're, abroad. Um, and so I think that's part of it. Um,
Yeah.
there's nothing fancy or exotic about my workflow except the time that I spend with them. And I also don't put a limit on how many times we speak. If they feel like they have something on their mind, they text me,
Yeah.
and I'm like,
Yeah.
when are you available? Okay, great.
Yeah.
Let's get on the phone.
Being willing to just get on the phone is so important.
Right.
So important.
My whole career was mostly spent in client experience, in customer service, in contact centers. And then once I was in e-commerce, that it was the client support teams behind, e-commerce. So the contact with the client is essential. And so one thing I learned back in my luxury goods days is that it may take more than one conversation for a client to feel comfortable and close a sale with you, especially if it's a high value item. So I think that the interaction is essential, and making them feel comfortable, and of course reassure them that I'm working with you and for you.
Yeah.
And then we see what it brings. The other thing is that I also don't turn away business unless, and that's, I think, part of why I had really dramatic growth in 2023 specifically. I didn't turn away anyone who was willing to pay my fee when my fee applies, and who had an appropriate budget for the destination and what they wanted to accomplish.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I'm like, I want everyone to travel. And so if I
Yeah.
do anything to help everyone travel, I will.
Yeah.
I was honest too. Honesty is
Yeah. Love that.
something you need to, it's like, hey, that budget will not get you there. However, what if,
And I think another aspect that often gets overlooked, and it's not something, if you're new, you even know to dig into that much, is partner relations, like just being a member of Virtuoso to begin with. And so it's really easy to deliver on a luxury experience when you are with a Virtuoso host agency and you get all the amenities and all of the perks that come with a Virtuoso property or a Virtuoso partner. And then there's the hotel elite programs, and we are members of almost all of them now. And the VIP status that your clients get when you book them in one of those hotels is already taken care of. You don't have to worry about doing that part of the work. And I know that impresses clients and keeps them coming back to you as an advisor because they want to keep getting treated that way.
those are, yes, those are those additional, strategic. Another reason why I know I've come a long way clearly is the strategic partnerships, GTN,
Yes.
Virtuoso, everything that
Yeah.
comes with it. I mean, I knew that from the very beginning. I want to be associated with these people. I want to be a part of this.
Yeah.
Who is my best fit?
Yeah.
But without that, to your point, without that, then there's what I can offer would be very limited.
So you have arrived at, a big, big goal that many advisors set for themselves when they first become an advisor, which is to exceed $1 million in sales in a 12-month window of time. So congratulations on achieving that goal. You did it relatively quickly, Eysa. I mean, really, that's amazing. So especially you were working a part-time job a lot of that time. And we have a lot of people who are looking into that journey, and they ask, do I have to quit my job? Do I have to do this full time? And nope, we want to accommodate all different lifestyles. But tell us about when you realized you were going to make that goal in 2024, when you saw it, you're like, I'm going to do this. Tell us about like how that felt and how did you celebrate?
Well, let me tell you first that I thought I would get there at the end of 2023. I was
Okay.
only about
So
$40
close.
away
Uh, uh,
from the million in, ending 2023. So, but it depends again on when the client makes a decision. Clients make decisions after the first year. So I was close, and I'm like, and, all I learned from this is that it's possible. And exponential growth is just around the corner. So I just came into 2024 even more excited. And so when I realized I'm definitely gonna make this, I'm definitely gonna make $1 million. I think the first person I told was Jonathan, my son.
Oh.
Sweetie, and like I showed him the screen. Look at my number. He's like, "You're almost there," and I'm like, "Yes." And then my mom and dad. I'm like, "Mom, Dad,
Oh.
I'm gonna make it this year." And they're so many things about them. Just
So proud of you.
and they're still traveling, thank God, in good health.
Wow.
I'm planning their trips. And so, they were super supporting, super
Do
encouraging.
they live in Puerto Rico still? Or did
Yes,
they move to?
they still live there, but they come to Texas
Wow.
often because eventually my sister and my brother also came to Texas. My
Okay.
younger.
Okay.
And so, yeah, they're super excited. And then my husband, who I remember when I told him, hey, this is what I'm gonna do because the job market is not responding. I need to find. He's like, are you sure it's a good time and to start it? Because right there now we were in the
Yeah.
show.
Yeah.
I think it's a perfect time because I'm gonna be ready for the wave,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah. You
so
are absolutely right.
he's like, hey, go for it. I believe in you. So yeah, it doesn't happen in a vacuum, support from
Yeah.
my family.
You need to have patience. You need to be willing to suppress your need for
Yeah.
immediate gratification. And one thing that we say all the time here is that it is so possible to build a travel business around your passion. But what's even better is that when you do, you also build a life that you love. So give us an example of that aspect of that now you have a life that you love too, because you've got this business that's
Mhm.
now succeeding and you're the boss. What are some aspects of Asa's life that are amazing now because of it?
Every day, I feel like I'm doing something that I love. So whether it's a very long day or whether it's a short day or whether,
Yeah,
I'm industrious. So whenever I need to work the long hours, I will. Try to take a little bit of time off when I can, but it really does not feel like work. It really feels like,
yeah,
to share the love of travel with clients and help them make those travel dreams come true and make their life easier because they're busy already with life and
yeah.
church and work and business.
Yep.
It's just it doesn't get any better than that for me. Once I realized, when I rewind back to when I found Virtuoso and I saw the potential, I remember thinking, if I do this, I want to do this for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
And I saw there's potential. The travel agent is alive, right?
Not only alive, but the demand for luxury travel is
And
only going to
thriving.
continue to grow.
Yes, thriving and formal professional, a formal and professional outlook. I remember
Yeah.
thinking, if I play my cards right, I can do that for the rest of my life. Holy cow! I need to look into
Yep.
this. So
Yep.
immediately I was like, okay, plan B, that's what I'm gonna do.
Yeah.
But and then I said, this is, if I get to do this, this is all I want to do. I don't want to do anything else.
I
I want
love
to
that.
keep growing. I want to build it, build it big. I'm going for top producer, right?
Yep.
But honestly, I knew that um, there was the potential was there, and so that was
Yep.
motivation.
So, in closing, is there a trip or a client that you can think of that you feel most either fulfilled by? Because it doesn't have to be like a six-figure trip or anything, or it could be that you did a six-figure trip for someone, or
Mm.
it could be just like you know that you made a massive difference in someone's life because of the trip you planned.
Every happy client brings me joy, and every referral, brings me even more happiness. I think that people who maybe had to put off traveling for different reasons,
Yeah.
and now we're ready to, visit the country of their dreams. We want to go to, we've always dreamed of going to Italy. We've always dreamed of going to Japan. you know, when you see someone who has this angst, right? And I've had a few of those scenarios. And to your point, maybe they didn't have the biggest budget, but the budget was appropriate. And
Yeah.
we were able, to do something really special with that budget. I try to help stretch that budget as much as possible. Then that meeting that happens after they return, where, I try to have a debrief and say, how did it go? It's very fulfilling, very satisfying, uh, you know, to see someone so excited and emotional and happy with their experience, and now wanting to, okay, now I need to go to my next destination, to my
Yeah.
next, to my next dream. I think I'll tell you, and I'm going to backtrack a little bit here, because during COVID, at some point, when I started, when I was already in travel MBA, I read an article that talked about how, I wish I would remember where it was, but talked about how memories of past travels with family, specifically family and close friends, can help someone make it through very difficult times in their lives. And so I thought about it. And of course, family travel is my favorite, although I help,
Yeah.
couples, anyone who needs travel, I'll help them. But I myself reflected on that article. And even though when we were growing up, we didn't do a lot of international traveling across the pond, that came later. But we did do traveling within the continental US. And I also have fond memories of, especially of the people who are no longer with us. So
Yeah.
when I read that article, I said, oh my God, like, travel has done that for me. And it didn't click until now. When I'm reminiscing on, old family road trips, trips with
Yeah.
groups of family or friends, that warms my heart. That gives me, peace. And I will argue that I even look back at when I went through, a cancer battle. This was before I started, a few years before I started my business. And I remember that what also was keeping me motivated was that next trip.
Mhm.
After I'm done with chemo, after all of this, I want to go here. I want to go there. I can't forget that we always wanted to go to this place. So, it is, and
So beautiful.
you said this also before. Travel can be a very compelling healing tool for many people. So when I read that article, I said, yes, it's like all these memories that all these kids are gonna have with grandparents and parents today. It's gonna resonate later for them when they're
That
thinking
is,
they're going through a tough time, in their life, and that's gonna give them solace.
yeah.
And so I think that that's part of what we do, directly or indirectly, is also help people, resolve some, emotional matters
Just,
that they can take care of or address better if they're away from their daily life.
yeah.
Or,
I love that sentiment.
mhm,
Because we know that travel is healing, right? And there's some magical things that happen to relationships when people travel together, loved ones travel together, friends travel together, strangers travel together and become lifelong friends, all because of that shared experience. But I love what you just said is that the memory of those shared experiences is also powerful and healing,
yeah.
and so there's the ripple effect of it. Fantastic. That's a
Mhm.
beautiful, beautiful sentiment. Um, my last question to you is, what advice would you give someone who is considering this as a career path for themselves?
I say go for it.
Just
No,
do it, right?
no questions asked, just do it.
Yeah.
If you're intrigued, if you're interested, if you're yearning, if you're ready, like just do it. Yes,
Yeah.
take your personal circumstance at the time and make it work without, letting other essential
Yeah.
pieces of your life to suffer. I mean,
Yeah.
like I did, I had to, kind of fit
Mhm.
way to eventually leave that part-time job, knock on wood. So do it, but do it within your current situation, your current reality. But do it, and so one step forward every day. It's still a step forward. You
Yeah.
don't, yes, I wish I could have taken 30 steps per day, but I had to take 2 or 3, and maybe one day I could take 5, but maybe the next I only took 1. But still, you're moving forward, and
Yeah.
so I would say do it scared. It's okay, and but find the right mentors and the right affiliation, which I feel
Yes.
I did. I think I'm in heaven when it comes to that.
You won the lottery.
Feel that I did. And I knew that early on. I still know it today. But there's a quote that I read often. I have it written somewhere. It's like you're never too old to set a new goal or to dream a new dream.
Oh, I
Uh,
love that.
so for me, yeah, it's never late. It's never
It's
late.
never too late.
If
Yep.
you feel if that's what you want to do it. Even if you're scared, even if you don't know everything, because of course you don't know everything up front.
Yeah.
Even if
Yeah.
you know everything, go for it. Go for it.
But don't do it alone.
You'll learn along the
Find
way.
find
And
your people and find the right affiliations, the right partnerships. Yeah, I think that's super important too.
right.
Beautifully said. Well, this has been awesome. Thank you so much for sharing and being so open and inspiring someone today. Hopefully, you have inspired someone today with this conversation. I'm inspired, and I think that's a fantastic way to end it. Is just do it. Just go for it. Do it despite the fear. That's what courage is. Courage is not having no more fear. Courage is deciding to take the action despite the fear.
Exactly. And don't feel like you need to do it alone. Because
Yes, exactly.
you
You don't need to do it alone. You're not supposed to do
you
it
don't.
alone.
But that is
Yep.
also one of the things, and I think I told you this, Meredith, a long time ago. We had a conversation, and I said that the day I realized that GTN as a community would be lifting me, that everybody would be so generous with their feedback and their experience and their help and getting on the phone with you and sending you, resources. When I realized that that's how this worked, I'm like, there's nothing to be afraid of. I'll be fine.
Oh, I love that. I
The
love, love,
corporate,
love that.
different from the corporate world, you don't
Oh
always
yeah.
have that, but
Yeah.
here, when I realized, wow, like these people are so generous, and I just feel like I'm part of the family. I'm good.
Yeah.
Gonna be
Yeah.
gonna be fine. Let's go.
Love that. Love that. That's a fantastic place to stop. So thank you so much, Eysa. And thank you everyone for listening, and we'll see you on the next episode.
Thanks for listening to the Travel Business Unpacked podcast, where we dive deep into the exciting world of travel entrepreneurship. If you're looking for more, we have some great resources for both aspiring travel entrepreneurs and existing travel advisors. Aspiring travel entrepreneurs, if you're thinking about turning your love for travel into a profitable business and enviable life, take our Travel Entrepreneurial Suitability Score quiz. It's fun and insightful. Just go to travelmba.giftedtravelnetwork.com. Find out if you're ready to professionalize your passion for travel. Current travel advisors. If you've been selling travel but haven't been able to grow your sales beyond $200,000 in a 12-month window of time, our quiz can help there too. Again, you can find that at travelmba.giftedtravelnetwork.com. Advisors looking for a change. If you're seeking an elevated hosting experience for the luxury travel advisor, check us out at giftedtravelnetwork.com. We'd love to chat with you. And with that, we wrap up today's journey. We hope we inspired you today, or at a minimum, put a smile on your face.